TNA Wrestling didn't cross the line again this week. We went back in time. For those of you that have seen all the news, obviously a big hurricane over and out in America caused a lot of damage. TNA couldn't get the Impact tapings done where they wanted to do it. They have, however, been getting them done Wednesday and Thursday of this week, so we should be back to regular programming next week as we build towards Bound for Glory. But they didn't disappoint us on the TNA Plus app. No, 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 no. They did give us a best of Bound for Glory special, which took us back to some of the big matches over the last couple of years at Bound for Glory. And Tom Hannifan was hosting the show. And Bound for Glory will take place on the 26th of October in Detroit. I think it's close to sold out, if not already. If you're over in Detroit, get yourself down there and watch what will be an incredible night of TNA wrestling. Will Joe Hendry win the World Heavyweight Championship at Bound for Glory? We'll have to find out. But anyway, the first thing Tom Hannifan did was talk about Frankie Kazarian and how he's always looking to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. But what we got to was an X Division match way back from Bound for Glory 2022, in which Kazarian took on Speedball Mike Bailey for the X Division Championship in what was a tremendous match. I don't always like, for me personally, if I watch a pay-per-view, I don't go back and watch anything. And I actually enjoyed it this time. I actually enjoyed going back across the archives of TNA. I don't know why I don't watch them again. I just don't have it's just one of those things. I'm not for, I don't go back and watch stuff that I've seen. I don't even go back and watch these podcasts that I do. So it's quite pretty weird like that. You should probably gather. But yeah, the match itself, it was brilliant. You know, Kazarian and Bailey, they match up so well. I mean, the X division is the best division in wrestling. I'm not going to allow anyone to tell me otherwise. It just brings together such an amazing array of matches, and this one was absolutely great. And I love this. I absolutely love this match. And you know, these two together, Kazarian, you've got the ring veteran, you've got the great technical base that he's got. Speedball, you know what he's all about. And they put on a really great fitting for Bound for Glory 2022. However, at the end of the match, um, Speedball Bailey tapped out to the chicken wing that Kazarian put on, and Kazarian got his fifth X Division title reign in TNA. Now, does Kazarian ever win the big one in TNA? Well, he's not going to do it this year at Bound for Glory. He will not be competing for the World Heavyweight Championship at Bound for Glory this year. We know it's going to be Joe Hendry, and we know it's going to be Nick Nemeth. So that's going to be a main event that we're looking to see. But Kazarian will always be there or thereabouts. He's always looking for the World Championship, and I don't doubt someday he'll be holding gold again in TNA. Now we transition back into a call your shot match. Now, actually, we're quite done these call your shot matches over in over where I work at Ignite. We do call your shot matches. They've done one recently where you can a winner gets a title shot at any time, and I work there as part of my own Turnbuckle Championship that we've got there. I call my shot at Ignite on a regular basis, where I will say who I want to face, who I want the champion to face. The Turnbuckle champion to face, that is. So yeah, it's always fun, these matches, and these matches do give you an opportunity at the championship at any time. So we went back to Bound for Glory 2001. This one, it was Sabin and Rocky Romero was in there. Um, then they skipped quite a few. They skipped to the show the entrances of Johnny Swinger, Melina, good old Melina, the Demon, ex-WCW, that was incredible as well. Brian Myers, Matt Cardona was in there. I'm just making sure, reading my notes to make sure I get as many names as I possibly can. Rich Swann was in there. Sam Bill, we've had him on the show before. Sam Bill was in there as well. Ace Austin, Moose, Eddie Edwards, Laredo Kid, Alicia Edwards with kendo sticks come down. W. Morrissey, Big Bill was in it as well. Rohit Raju, was in there as well. Obviously Chris Sabin, Madman Fulton was in there, and he went straight after Chris Sabin when he was in there. Obviously Moose, I think I've already mentioned. I'm going to say a few of these names twice, I think. Um, but it was crazy. The Call Your Shot match was all forms of craziness in 2021. And yes, I did manage to get everyone that I saw. Anyway, everyone that it says on my notes. If I miss someone, I'm sorry. It's early over here in the UK. Nevertheless, what a fun match to have. Call Your Shots are always crazy. There's always lots and lots and lots going on. Yeah, it is absolutely crazy. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And again, you do get your opportunity to cash in at any time. And that opportunity fell to Moose, who hits the spear for the win. And if you think Moose has always been there or thereabouts for many, many years now in TNA, he's kind of been the ring bearer in a lot of ways. In terms of championships, Moose has held it. He's been up there this year as well until Nick Nemeth beat him, and he's got the system behind him now. And I don't think it won't be too long before Moose is trying to claim that TNA championship back after this year's Bound for Glory. But he did win the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, and actually later on that evening, well, obviously we don't see this on the program, but later on that evening, Moose did indeed cash in that shot on Josh Alexander to capture the Impact World Championship at that point. And it was an incredible moment for Moose at that stage of his career. And as I said, now he's becoming a big time player in TNA and certainly ahead of the system as well. So interesting times. Now we do cut off to knockouts action now. Again, we talk about one of the best divisions in wrestling, and TNA's knockouts are absolutely up there. And funny enough, this was kind of like um, it was one of those ones where I think looking back now, I don't think Jordan Grace would want her to answer an open challenge going forward. And that is Masha Slamovich. So they went at it for the Impact Knockouts World Championship in 2022 at Bound for Glory. And I tell you what, if you want to define the TNA knockouts of this decade or so in a match, that's the one. Jordan Grace and Slamovich absolutely tore the house down in this match at the Bound for Glory. It was brilliant. I mean, I just I don't know how can you really call it? It was just an absolute slugfest, really, between these two. They left it all in the ring, as you should do all the time, but especially at Bound for Glory shows, they're TNA's biggest show of the year. You really need to go at it and make sure that you definitely leave your blood, sweat, and tears in the ring. And they did that in this match. It was absolutely fantastic. I would love them to run it back again. I really would love them to run it back again. We know Masha Slamovich now is kind of out of the system, so to speak. She got kicked out. Tasha Steeles and Alicia Edwards are now holding down the fort there. So Masha's kind of in a situation right now. So obviously Jordan Grace is doing a lot of knockouts open challenges. She's been getting assisting a lot of help from NXT as well. Some of Sol Ruka was another one that helped her out. But Jordan Grace has elevated herself even higher since this Bound for Glory match. She is now near enough untouchable level. To say the Roman Reigns of the Knockouts division, the Roman Reigns of last few years of the Knockouts division, that is Jordan Grace right here, and she right now is at a point where I don't think anybody can stop her. But we'll see at Bound for Glory if she can be stopped. That is for sure. But she was tremendous. She wins this match with a super juggernaut driver, and that move is just unbelievable. I love it. I absolutely love it. And what's going to happen to Jordan Grace this year? She has been, I think, in terms of career, and she has probably been on the run of her career this year. She has done so much. She is, she's gone to the Royal Rumble. She's done so much more stuff. She's worked in NXT as like Joe Hendry and others, but The work that she's put in obviously hasn't gone unnoticed because the WWE love her, and whether or not the future for Jordynne Grace is in WWE, we don't know. We don't know a lot about what would go on once that TNA contract does expire, but she has been on a run of her life and deserves every accolade that she comes to her. And if a move to WWE materializes in the future, she will run that division like she's run the TNA Knockouts division. My favorite matches in TNA, you would say Ultimate X is obviously up there with one of them, and another one of my favorite matches that I always get probably too excited about, Monsters Ball. And they took us back to Bound for Glory 2023, and PCO, Moose, Rhino, and Mr. Mayhem himself, Steve Macklin. You're talking about four guys that just cause devastation and destruction everywhere they go. It has, oh, good God, this was incredible. I actually, and I just said earlier on that I don't ever rarely watch matches back after I've seen them the first time. I may actually go back and watch this match in its entirety because obviously they do cut bits out of this particular show. And, I'm tempted to go back and watch that full match because it's just destruction. It is destruction, destruction, destruction. Moose at this point had a feast or fired briefcase. Um, it was crazy that he started and he was going for a spear on Macklin. The lights went out. PCO come in and they just went at it. And they've had their few issues this year as well. PCO gets dropped onto a ladder. They use garbage cans, thumbtacks. Jeez, it is literally barbed wire tables for Christ's sake. Everything imaginable. As you can imagine, what a monsters ball match would be with these crazy, crazy, crazy people. Um, there was a bit where Rhino gores Moose, and then PCO come off the top rope. The PCO assault on both men for the win, but it was, crazy, absolutely crazy. And you look at these guys. Rhino, I'm actually looking forward to seeing in a couple of weeks. Is Rhino going to be? No, he's not going to be there now. Or is he? Yes, he is. Rhino will be. I keep getting confused with Moose. Rhino will be at Slam Masters Wrestling over in Cardiff in a couple of weeks' time. Looking forward to going to see him at that then. Very much so. You look at what PCO with the Steph Belander situation. It's got Matt Cardona coming up at Bound for Glory. What happens with Steph Delander at that point? So he's been embroiled in a lot of stuff this year. He's teamed with Jordynne Grace at one point as well. And now married to Steph Delander. What's going to happen at Bound for Glory, though? I don't know. We will have to see, but I have a sneaking suspicion that all may not end well for PCO. We've already discussed what Moose has been doing, and he's been running roughshod over TNA in 2024. He has been fantastic. And don't forget also, just as a quick side note on this, Bully Ray was involved in this match and he shoved Macklin off the top rope onto the table with barbed wire. I did forget about that. I just literally looked up at my notes. I was like, oh, I forgot about Bully Ray. We know that Moose has been running roughshod with TNA, and Macklin is starting to get that mayhem back. And 2025, I think, for Macklin could be a huge year in TNA and maybe for Josh Alexander as well. And speaking of Josh Alexander, they ended the show with the Impact Wrestling World Championship from Bound for Glory 2022 with Josh Alexander and Eddie Edwards. And I tell you what, right? This match, it had such a great, I don't know, blend or mix of the way it told a great story. They started off at the feeling out each other stage. It takes a while for this match to really kick into gear, and it's done so brilliantly that it was probably one of the best matches that TNA one-on-one. I mean, there's been absolute bangers this year. They've done so many great matches this year, but back in 2022, this was probably one of the best. And these two were just, again, Eddie Edwards is Again, he's a legend. He's like a legend now. He's a veteran. He might not like me to say it, but he is a veteran. He's been on this show as well, Eddie. But so good. And this match in 2022 just epitomized where TNA was going. We started the podcast and we started looking at TNA at the back end of 2022, pretty much when this was, and we had so much excitement about where TNA was going. And this, I'm not saying this was the match that turned it for TNA. They were turning way before then. But everything that we see at this match in 22 epitomized the trajectory of where TNA is now. And it started that upward curve. And, say started it was going about its business quietly and successfully without too much noise, basically. And these are one of the reasons why Josh Alexander did pick up the victory with the C4 spike in this match. And Josh is now, he's a bit confused at the moment. I think it's safe to say. I'm not quite sure what Josh is, well, where he's going and what he's doing right now. But it'd be interesting to see where he's up to at Bound for Glory. I'm sure we'll get some news about that as the Impact tapings finished up yesterday. So when we get back to regular programming next week, I'm sure we'll see a bit more about where Josh Alexander lies, or Alexander, was Alexandra sometimes, Alexander lies into going into Bound for Glory. Eric Young could be a possibility there. But he's another one that's pound for pound one of the best in the business. That there's not even saying in TNA. He's one of the best in the business. Simple as that. And he is brilliant. And he's got a great future lined up, whatever happens for him. And I'm sure 2025, we said it's going to be a big year for Macklin. I think going to be a huge year for Josh Alexander as well. Eddie Edwards, obviously, we know that he's been causing destruction everywhere he goes as part of the system, multiple time tag champion as well. And yeah, very interesting to see where the system goes. Him and Myers work really well together. We've obviously got Johnny Dango Curtis in there now as well. Well, wow, as we come towards it, we're going to do it. I was just thinking about this while I was talking about where things are and years to come and stuff like that. And we'll do a TNA end of year review. We've still got Victory Road. We've still got Victory Road. We've done all that. We've still got other pay-per-views to come. But I'm thinking October, when we get to the back end of December, we'll start doing some end of year roundups. And TNA, I'm looking forward to this one because it's been just such a great year of TNA, and it has grown exponentially. The partnership with WWE, everything that they've done this year, TNA has been, there was controversy at the start. We know that. We don't need to get into that. But it's not dropped. The level hasn't dropped. The commitment hasn't dropped. The passion with the wrestlers just hasn't dropped so far this year. And I don't think it will. They're riding the crest of a wave. And it's time to see what happens at Bound for Glory in just a few short weeks' time, 3 weeks to be exact, to Bound for Glory. And I can't wait for that. And if those matches that I've just shown you, go out and check them out on the TNA Plus app, by the way. Download and subscribe to that. You can, of course, watch it AXS TV in America. You can stream it on DAZN, and you can watch it over here on Sky at Ayozat TV. So get yourselves watching it. Go ahead and watch those matches in their entirety. Find those matches on the TNA Plus app and watch them in their entirety. They're brilliant matches to watch. And, we've got a huge match at Bound for Glory. We've mentioned it before. Nick Nemeth, Joe Hendry for the World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, the Hardy Boys are in tag team, or they've got a tag team quest to win the tag team championships as well. Is that going to happen at Bound for Glory? So many questions to be answered. And when we get back to regular TNA programming next week, we will see how far we are, as we will only be 2 weeks away from Bound for Glory 2024. And it is going to be one hell of a pay-per-view. But guys, as I said before, download the TNA Plus app, watch TNA programming regularly, keep up to date with what's going on there. Keep up to date on our channel. Go to HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Instagram, and we'll be back with some very interesting interviews. One that we're actually recording today, won't be out today, but we're recording today with Vince Russo. And next week, we're recording with Eric Bischoff, two people that are accustomed to TNA wrestling as well. We'll be in the recording studios with those. Looking very much forward to those dropping in the next few weeks. So keep an eye out on all of our stuff. Like, subscribe, comment, anything you want to do, just do it on the channel, and we'll obviously we obviously appreciate everything, and we do appreciate everything that TNA has presented to us this year, the opportunities so far. We've had some great interviews. We've been a part of some media stuff as well. It's been fantastic. So we do thank everybody at TNA, TNA UK, SRX Consultancy, everyone involved with TNA. Big thank you to you for giving us the opportunities. But this has been a very quicker than normal Impact review show on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It'll be back next week. We'll obviously be back next week. We'll be back before then because we've got so much stuff still to come this week. But until, if you're just a TNA fan and you just watch the TNA stuff, until next time, everybody, let's cross the line with TNA, buckle down and stay safe.